Hello everyone. So, I hope that your revision, your preparation must be going in full swing. And as far as sessions are concerned, there have been delay of few sessions from my side, and this delay was purely because of my health, and I was not able to take few classes. So now, within the next 4-5 days, the remaining classes will conducted, and first of all, 2-3 classes we will take up. Like from in this session, I will talk on regional planning. So the issue of regional planning will be taken care. So one or two sessions related to the regional planning and associated discussions. After that, we will directly jump to the environmental issues and contemporary issues. Environmental issues and contemporary issues materials will also be uploaded, and I am sure that you must have studied the last year's contemporary and environmental issues. So, just along with that, just go ahead with this environmental and contemporary issues material also. Yes, I do understand that there has been a few delay of 4-5 classes, but I think still you have enough bandwidth. If you have taken care of your GS, if you have taken care of your essay, ethics preparation, so you can go ahead with these 4-5 classes. Other than this, one more point. Most of the students are planning to write the test, and they are planning to write in such a manner that 7/8. From my side, the test has already been completed. From my side, the test has already been completed, but few of the students are still not be able to write the test. So they are thinking to write the test till 7th, 8th of September. There is no harm in that. Please be very clear. If you are settled, if you are at your own place, let's say you are supposed to write the mains examination in Bangalore, and you are in Bangalore, you are not supposed to travel from one place to another place. So obviously, for optional preparation, for optional, you can write the test till 9th, 10th also. Because nowadays what is happening, there is a big gap between the GS and optional. So some of the students also try to write the test, but I suggest that write the test here and then back to GS preparation, because in GS the number of tests you already have written, that is more than sufficient. Now from in next 5 to 10 days just focus on the revision. तो GS के लिए revision ज़्यादा करिए, optional के लिए along with the revision written part also should be there. तो last के दिनों में ऐसा नहीं है कि now from 1st of September there should not be any writing. ऐसी कोई criteria मत करिए. So my suggestion will be, you can still continue your optional preparation for next 8 to 10 days mandatorily. Don't just stay away from the optional. क्योंकि कुछ students करते हैं, उनको ये लगता है, always remember, there is nothing wrong, because lot of students gets overburdened with the syllabus. So they go with the syllabus. In this point of time, it is very important for you to understand this. you guys try to go with the syllabus, but rather than going with the syllabus, go with the general marks that are getting awarded to the candidate. So if you will look out the general marking pattern, and in that general marking pattern you will find the weightage of optional is very huge. तो ऑप्शनल एक ऐसा एरिया है जो आपको उस मंजिल तक पहुंचाएगा जो आप जिसकी तलाश कर रहे हैं. सो दैट इज द रीजन व्हाई यू शुड नॉट जस्ट stay away from the optional writing, reading right from the 1st of September. ऐसा मत करिए. Just continue with your preparation. Optional आप 9-10 तक बहुत आराम से लिख सकते हैं. As far as contemporary issues is concerned, current affairs आप पढ़ ही रहे होंगे. Whatever the compilation you are studying, my suggestion will be along with that, go with the particularly contemporary issues material. So contemporary issues का भी जो material upload किया जाएगा उसको भी आप try to complete. Now, when we talk about the regional planning, first of all you need to understand what is planning, because planning is something. Whenever we talk about the plan, let's say you are planning for your preparation. So in planning, there must be some objective. You need to know that what is the objective of plan. There must be some course of action. So these are the two very important part of any planning. Along with the strategy, along with the individuals, stakeholders that are involved, but there are two very important components of any planning. The objective of plan, if you will look out from India's perspective, right from the beginning of independence, after the independence, India have gone for the planning. So India have devised different plans. What were the main objective? Main objective of the planning happens to be the development. So whenever we talk about the regional planning, in regional planning always remember that planning is imbibed. The meaning of regional planning can be different, but in case of planning, objective course of action is very important. As far as objective is concerned, development happens to be main objective, or there will be a less developed area, backward area. So we have the less developed region, we have the backward region, and whenever we are talking about the regional planning, so the main objective of regional planning, main objective of in general planning is have more development in these areas, have more advancement in that area. So from time to time the different models, different strategies, different models, different approach have been devised. Whenever it comes to the regional planning, always try to relate regional planning with your preparation of UPSC. Almost each and every individual, जितने भी aspirant हैं, every aspirant is trying to devise some plan. किसका प्लान सक्सेसफुल होगा, किसका प्लान अनसक्सेसफुल होगा, ये डिपेंड करेगा आपके रिजल्ट पे. So result is something which is not in your hand. Similarly, in all the regional planning, always remember that when the plan is being devised, जब भी कोई प्लान आपका डिवाइस किया जा रहा तो प्लानिंग प्रोसेस में it's inherent that every planning is being done to get the result. That is a different aspect, that whether the result is coming or not, whether the result is favorable or not. If result is favorable, that plan is successful. If result is not favorable, that plan will be unsuccessful. But don't ever try to criticize simply plan that this plan was flawed or this plan was not have been devised in the right intention. Intention was right at that time. Like the very famous plan I used to give this example several times. You must be knowing industrialization. Now at this point of time, sorry, AC बंद कर देना मुझे. Now at this point of time, when you will think of the industrialization, so it appears if the question is being asked whether the industrialization was successful or unsuccessful. So in last few decades, we are coming across with so much literature associated with the greenhouse gas, release of the greenhouse gas, the effect of the industrialization over the sea level rising, glacier melting, lots of climatic hazards, climate change. So in the present time period, if you will look out from the environmental perspective, it appears that the industrialization was the main culprit, and to certain extent correct also. But when the industrialization have been planned in those time period, at that time period the objective was for the to bring some positive change in the human lives. So at that point of time, the objective was positive changes in human life, and to a certain extent that positive changes have been given by the industrialization. But industrialization has also given some unwanted results, and that unwanted results over the period of time became more powerful. That unwanted result became more, you can say, dominant in case of associated with the industrialization. So similarly, in case of planning, whenever you will look out any planning process of our country, so might be at that time period the plan was very much, it has given good result, but after 40-50 years there can be some subjectivity involved. Like one more good example I can give you is the Green Revolution. When the Green Revolution has been launched, from the India's perspective, what was the main objective? Because when the Green Revolution was launched, India was going through with a very bad phase. India was going through almost a food crisis. India was being tagged as a begging bowl in the world. So India was not having self-sufficiency in the food grains. So at that time there was a paucity of time. There was not having a sufficient time period. The government was having urgency. And because of the urgency, they were not having the sufficient time period to take out the one program and initiate the program throughout the country. So some area have been selected. तो जब आपका पंजाब, हरियाणा, वेस्टर्न यूपी have been selected that these are going to be a pioneer region for the introduction of HYV seeds. So when we have selected, so it was a deliberate imbalance. हमने खुद 3 रीजन उठाए, हमने खुद तो कुछ एरिया उठाए और उसको किया कि यहां पे हम ग्रीन रेवोल्यूशन लॉन्च करेंगे. सो राइट फ्रॉम द बिगिनिंग स्ट्रेटजी वाज रॉन्ग. कि अगर आपका प्रोग्राम वहां पे सक्सेसफुल हो गया तो दूसरे एरिया में जो ऑलरेडी आपके एग्रीकल्चरल प्रोडक्टिविटी इज नॉट वेरी मच गुड, तो देयर विल बी अ डिफरेंस. सो देयर विल बी अ डिफरेंस बिटवीन द areas that are having self-sufficiency in food grain, there are areas that are not doing well. So when we have implemented, if you will analyze in the present time period, it will appear to you that it was a deliberate imbalance strategy. Planning ठीक नहीं था. लेकिन at that time period, as I said, that at that time period we are not having the sufficiency of time. We were having urgency, and in that urgency, it was not possible for us to implement this program throughout the country. So we have identified some of the area, and over the period of time that regions have given good result. And over the period of time, total productivity, total agricultural food grain productivity of country have phenomenally rise. And when it has risen, so it has sorted out the problem of food grain. So India became a self-sufficiency in food grain. India became a self-sufficiency in food grain, but the regional imbalances, जो regional imbalances exist करते थे, regional inequality जो exist करती थी, that regional inequality have been widened. So earlier, there was almost throughout the country, majority of the regions were agriculturally backward. सो एग्रीकल्चरली बैकवर्ड बहुत सारे रीजन थे, बट बाद में क्या हुआ कि कुछ रीजन एग्रीकल्चरली एडवांस हो गए और कुछ रीजन स्टिल एग्रीकल्चरली बैकवर्ड. सो जहां पे एडवांसमेंट हुआ वहां पे इतना ज्यादा एडवांसमेंट हो गया दैट ओवर द पीरियड ऑफ टाइम they have appeared like a island of development. So regions like Punjab, Haryana, Western UP in the present time period, they are happens to be the growth pole. But the growth has not dispersed. Rather they have sucked all the growth. So in regional planning, always remember the regional planning objective happens to be very clear. The objective is going to be developmental objective. Objective is to remove the regional inequalities, regional imbalances. लेकिन वो objective, वो plan is going to give the result, right result or not, it can be only assessed in later time period. Now, as far as the regional planning is concerned, we have the different approaches of regional planning. So, some of the approaches you can write quickly. Almost from the independence time period till today, we have the different approaches that have been followed. One popular approach happens to be the river basin approach. So almost in the 1940s, starting from the 1930s and then later part of the 20th century, this river basin approach became a prototype of planning. Very famous Tennessee Valley approach was very popular in USA, and later on the same Damodar Valley Corporation have also been set up in India. The Damodar Valley projects have been Damodar Valley projects have been initiated in India. So it was the river basin approach. So idea was that some of the reservoirs will be constructed, hydroelectricity projects will be generated. So these hydroelectricity projects, first of all, they will generate electricity, and that electricity will be utilized for the industrial activity. Other than this, the reservoir will be used for irrigation projects. So the irrigation will be provided, so the agriculture will also become profitable. So almost both the aspects, that agriculture and the industrialization, have been targeted. Other than this, also agriculture, electricity, then drinking water, some recreational activities, fishing, almost multiple components were part of this river basin approach, and that is why it became very popular. Then you will have metropolitan planning approach. So in metropolitan planning approach, generally the bigger cities, bigger largest cities have been identified, and the industrialization in those cities, industry, then you will have infrastructure, transport facility, drinking water, housing, sanitation have been developed, and because of that development people have been attracted to the urban area. So over the period of time, more and more migration of the people in the urban area, and suddenly in urban area you will have a human resource availability have increased, and if the human resource availability, obviously there will be a more and more growth. So this metropolitan planning approach has become very much popular. Then came your one more approach, that is rural development. Country like India, throughout the world also, but in country like India, initially they have gone for these two approaches, but over the period of time they have realized that if only the development will be carried out in the urban area, so everyone will try to move to the rural urban area, and majority of population is involved in agricultural activity, majority of population is living in the village area. So we have an enormous population of our country. We have the land scarcity, limitation of the land, and if everyone will keep on moving to the urban area, even in facilities in urban area, whatever the development, whatever the facilities is being provided, that facility will not be sufficient. So in the backdrop of that, it has been decided that we also need to go for the rural development approach. So this rural development became a buzzword, almost you can say, right from the 1970s. All the successive governments are focusing more and more on the rural development, right from the construction of the rural roads, construction of the houses, construction of the some of the ponds, some of the providing drinking water facilities. So all these things that is being provided in the rural area, that is part of your rural development approach. Then one more very popular approach that is being popular in India is area development approach. Area development approach. So the area development approach is mostly based on some of the backward regions. Hilly area development, island area, desert area. So some of the regions have been, some of the specific area have been identified. Over the period of time, it became very clear that if you will simply go for the rural urban, if you will simply go for the metropolitan, if you will simply go for the river basin, so that is not going to help in some specific area. So all these are happens to be the regional planning, but in that regional planning, only one type of planning is not going to be effective, successful. So in that backdrop, these area development approach have been identified, these area specific approach have been brought for the development. So we in the back in within this backdrop, programs like backward region, backward development programs, hilly area development programs, island development program, desert area development program, watershed development program, command area development program. have been identified. So these happens to be some of the programs that have been identified. Now there are two, three more very important things that you need to know. One is part of the different theories that have been suggested to achieve the regional planning, or you can say we call it at the different regional planning models. Regional planning and development model. In that regional planning and development, there is a very important point before the going that what is this region, what is this regional planning and planning region. One very important thing that you need to know, what is this development, this debate of development and growth. So as far as development and growth is concerned, always remember, growth is something which is an economic concept. So in case of growth, you will have the positive and you will have the negative. Growth is associated with some of the positive indicators, some of the economic indicators. Economic indicators like GDP, GNP, NNP, per capita income, purchasing power. So these are some of the very important indicators to identify the growth. But when it comes to the development, so development is something that is more associated with some of the social dimensions. So in development is a holistic term. So development is having the social dimension, political dimension. Development is also having economic dimension. Environmental dimension. So issues like literacy, issues like particularly access to school, issues like gender parity, rights, equality, equity, all these are part of your development. Development also fulfills the needs of present and future, so that is referred as sustainable development. Then there should be a security of resources, accessibility of resources, availability of resources, affordability of resources. So accessibility, availability, affordability, efficient, it should be efficient also, which we are referring in terms of sustainable development. So these are the components that a development should have, and based on that only you can have development. So the meaning of development is also very subjective. Don't limit yourself in development in only some of the aspects. In case of development, all the things you need to assess. Like let's say you are talking about India's energy security or energy. So in terms of energy, what are the different options that people are having? Whether that option is available everywhere or only in particular some area. So let's say might be in the Delhi, Mumbai, in some of the cities, the people are having. Similarly, let's say digital. So when it comes to the digital so when it comes to the digital security, so obviously people living in the rural area, urban area, they are having the accessibility, they are having the availability of 5G, 4G. Either they can go with the Airtel or they can go with the some other service provider. Geo is there. Multiple options are there. But when you will go to the rural area, are you are having options? Are you in a position to get the competitive price? So there are whole lot of different things that you need to look out, and then you need to talk about that digital equality, the digital security. So like in that, similarly, as far as the education is concerned, we are in the 21st century and almost you can say in third decade, but still if you will go to the rural area, so in rural area even the basic education, even the elementary education is not properly available. Good teachers are not there, good schools is not there. Government schools condition is very pathetic. The teachers are not ready to teach properly. They are not even coming on time. Forget about whether they are efficient or not, that is a different thing, but they are not coming to the time. Everyone wants a government job, but when the government they become a teacher, so they consider themselves some you can say someone who is having a extra power who is become entitled. So they are government teacher, but they don't want to teach, they don't want to perform their duty. So all these things you need to highlight whenever you are thinking, whenever you are writing about the regional development, whenever you are writing about the regional planning and development. Now coming to the region. So as far as regions are concerned, there are multiple regions, and the most popular division of the regions. So every region will have some boundaries, location, homogeneities, frontiers. So region is a geographical concept, but there are multiple regions. So like we will have the social regions, we have political regions, we have economic regions, we have the physical region. So primarily we will have the different types of the regions. So in that different types of region we have the physical regions, in physical regions we have a climatic region, physiographic region, we have a vegetation region. Other than we have a socio-cultural region. We have a socio-cultural region. Political regions, economic regions. Like if you will look out from the climatic perspective, the India can be divided in different regions, physiography, vegetation. Then you will have the socio-cultural, so you can have the Muslim region, Muslim dominated region, Hindu dominated region. Then based on the language, you will have the Hindi dominant region, Punjabi dominant region, Marathi dominant region. So based on the religion, based on the language, based on the caste, based on the creed, the different regions can be identified. Similarly, political region. So like in our country, primarily it is the administrative regions, the division of the state is primarily based on the political system. Then you will have the economic region. So in economic region, you can have the uh, some of the area that are rich, some of the area that are poor, like very popular division of our country, that is north-south division. Then you will have a east-west division. So these are some of the popular regions. Now coming to the different models of regional planning. So there are multiple models of the regional planning has been propagated from time to time. Core periphery model, so that I already have taken. Then you will have the growth pole model. Then you will have that modification has been done by the growth foci model. So in 55, very famous Francis Perroux has come out with a model that is being referred as growth pole model. Sometimes it is, because of that, it is also referred as Perroux, and Bordwille has bring some modification in that. He has introduced the concept of growth center. So because he has introduced concept of growth center, that is why it is referred as Bordwille also. But primarily it was the Perroux. The growth pole model is primarily a model which is more or less is following the central place theory of Christoller. Like Christoller suggested that the growth of cities, growth of urban area is based on the threshold. So every city is not going to have the same size. So the size and spacing of the city depends upon the neighboring cities. So similarly, the growth pole model has also been suggested, and it has been suggested that growth will not happen everywhere. Growth is not same everywhere. It will appear in poles. It will appear in poles and centers. So the model believes that growth is something which is not going to have same everywhere. So inherently the model is promoting, model is accepting. Obviously the model was trying to bring that regional inequality, trying to bridge that regional equality. मॉडल का जो मेन ऑब्जेक्टिव ये था कि देयर आर डिफरेंट रीजन्स. सो लेट्स से let's say if you will just stick to India. So in India, everywhere we have the different level of development. So we have the differentiation of the development. Here you will have some form of the development. Western side is comparatively more developed. Eastern coastal area is also developed, but the interior part is poor region. So let's suppose that in India we have a different, we have a inequalities, we have a regional imbalances. So how this regional imbalances can be filled up? How this regional imbalances can be sorted out? So to sort out the problem of regional imbalance, the concept of growth pole have been propagated. So the concept of growth pole have been propagated. Now when this growth pole concept have been propagated, it has been thought of that everywhere growth is not going to be possible. Growth will only appear in some places. Let's say here is one of the reason where growth will happen. Here is one of the reason where the growth will happen. Here is one of the reason where the growth. Here is one of the reason that the growth will happen. So it identified that first you will have the growth poles will develop. Now the growth pole that will develop, poles will have a tendency for the centrifugal forces. So the growth pole will have some centrifugal characteristic. Growth pole will have some centrifugal characteristic. Growth pole will have some centripetal characteristic. So it has suggested that based on that centrifugal and centripetal characteristic, centrifugal characteristic means the growth will disperse. So let's say Mumbai is being developed. तो अगर मुंबई में डेवलपमेंट होगा, so the centrifugal model suggests that growth will disperse in the neighboring area. Growth will disperse in the neighboring area. This centrifugal model is also based on the model of trickle down. Trickle down approach क्या होता है? Trickle down approach is also, you can say, based on the idea of the Gunnar Myrdal, and trickle down approach simply believes that development will happen in one area, regions, and from that regions the development will disperse. In fact, if you will look out the India's green revolution, so when the green revolution have been launched, as I said, so green revolution have launched only in some selected, so some regions have been selected. So the regions that have been selected, it was thought that first development will happen in these regions. तो जो रीजन सेलेक्ट किए गए थे, तो वहां पे ये आइडेंटिफाइड हुआ दैट फर्स्ट द डेवलपमेंट विल हैपन इन दीज रीजन्स. वंस द डेवलपमेंट हैपन इन दीज रीजन्स, सो आफ्टर द डेवलपमेंट ऑफ दीज रीजन्स, दिस डेवलपमेंट विल डिस्पर्स. तो जैसे आपका पंजाब हरियाणा डेवलप हो गया, तो उसके आसपास के जो रीजन्स रहेंगे वो उनकी देखा देखी, बिकॉज एग्रीकल्चर हैज डेवलप्ड, फार्मर्स की इनकम बढ़ेगी. अगर फार्मर्स की इनकम बढ़ेगी तो नेबरिंग एरिया में दे विल आल्सो गेट अट्रैक्टेड टू गो विद दिस ग्रीन रेवोल्यूशन. दे विल आल्सो implement the same kind of HYV seed. They will also require the same kind of development. So this idea of the trickle down approach is simply believing that the centrifugal force. So they consider that the growth everywhere disperse. So growth will not happen everywhere same. Growth will appear in the poles and centers. Now once this growth has happened in the poles area, so this growth will disperse to the lower side. So the growth will disperse to the periphery regions, and that periphery regions will grow as a center. So it is more or less like in our country we have the metropolitan cities, we have the major cities. Mumbai, Delhi, Chennai, Kolkata. So a thought process could be that the growth will happen in these cities. When the growth will happen in these cities, from these cities the growth will disperse to the outer area. So the growth will disperse to the outer area, and over the period of time the state capitals will also become a very good center of the development. So good center of the development those cities will become, and later on that growth will disperse to that particular district headquarter. So basically this model is a kind of, you can say, promoting regional inequality, because in assumption itself, the model itself is being suggested on the lines that the growth is not going to have everywhere. And in most of the cases, it is not the centrifugal forces. What has been identified or what has been seen that growth will happen to some of the places, like Mumbai will grow, like Delhi will grow, ठीक है. लेकिन over the period of time, the growth of Delhi, the growth of Mumbai will attract lot of people. So these regions that are developing, it will suck all the raw material, human resources. So everything it will be sucked by this. So the neighboring region that was supposed to come out as a growth center, that will not appear. And exactly that has happened in case of our Green Revolution area. As I said, that the Green Revolution has been launched in selected areas. So when it has been launched, it was thought that the development will happen. But the development has not happened in those regions. Rather, the development has not happened in those regions. Rather, what has happened that all the developments, all the raw materials, people have started migrating from the places like UP, from the places like Bihar, and they have started working like a laborers, landless laborers. They have started working like a laborer in the field itself, in Punjab, fields of Punjab, fields of Haryana. So it has resulted into a regional imbalance. So that is why this model is not very much effective. This model is not very much effective in the countries like India. So in case of countries like India, this model is rejected. The idea of growth pole model that is being given by the Perox is also based on the propulsive industry. So he talks about, for the growth to happen, there should be a propulsive industry, and propulsive industry is like a large industry, big industry, the industry which is based on a huge, it's a modern industry which requires huge raw material. So present day some of the iron and steel industries, you can think of the propulsive industry. In the present time period, like IT industry. So Bangalore is developing, economically development is happening. So you can imagine Bangalore as a propulsive industry. Hyderabad is there, Pune is there. Some of the iron and steel industry, manufacturing industry, some of the automobile centers, some of the mobile electronic industry. So these are supposed to be some of the propulsive industry. Later on, the idea of the growth pole has been modified by the R.P. Misra. He simply suggested that the country like India the development passes from one of the places to neighboring area nearby the region. So according to him, the places that are having more than 5 lakh population, so 5 lakh population and above, that will be your growth pole. So you can visualize the growth pole like your metropolitan cities. Growth centers below this, and it is having somewhere around 50,000 to 5 lakh population. So in the present time period, most of the state capitals, so state capitals can be said to be a growth center. Then the growth point is something which is having around 10,000 to 50,000 population. So some of the district headquarters, where some of the manufacturing activities, some sugarcane industries are there, some jute industries are there, some cotton textile centers are there. So that can be said to be a growth point. As far as service center and village center is concerned, these are the lowest unit, and these are only involved in some of the catering, some of the providing some retail centers. Some here industrial activity is not there. Here only service, some shops are there. Some services is being provided at market level. So here you will have the 5,000 to 10,000. That that can be a small urban area. That can be a like block level, like tehsil level, and village is, it is very much similar to like Haat, Bazaar. This is also some. This village center is not going to be your weekly market. So this is not your weekly market. So this growth pole model has been modified for the country like India, and it has been identified that in India, this is how the growth centers will come into the picture. This is how the growth happens, and most of these growth centers are on the major highways, major transport routes, and even the growth point is also having the advantage. So the growth center will mainly develop around the major economic center, major cities of our country, which are well connected with the neighboring areas, and growth point will act like a raw material center, will act like providing raw materials, human resources to the growth poles. Most of the requirement of raw materials of a growth pole will be fulfilled from these centers. So these are some of the discussion related to regional planning, and this discussion we will continue in our next session.